Namaste, friends. Welcome. Sorry. So the prayers. Namaste, friends. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaste, friends. Welcome to the 52nd session of the series Gift, Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. We continue with the 10th chapter today, Vibhuti Yoga. In these shlokas, we hear Krishna speaking and then Arjuna also speaks up. Krishna asks us to fix our minds on him, and this is not possible if at physical level I continue to be in ghor sansar. So he says, fix your mind and your senses. And then Krishna says, out of compassion, he assures us that he will destroy ignorance and take us to Jnana Yoga. Let us listen keenly for all the finer points in these shlokas. We have Dr. Ravi Shankar, who will be the moderator for today. We welcome our speakers of the day, Dr. Srimati Arunaji, Sri Ullas, Dr. Sundar, Dr. Srinivas Nuti, and Dr. Sarika Ramchandran. Over to you, sir.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Aspadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Today's session is a very interesting session, like all other sessions. In this Madhyama Shatka of the Bhagavad Gita, we are very familiar, but we would like to revise and reinforce that Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam, which is the liberating knowledge, has been the topic of discussion in the 7th and the 9th chapter, where the Sadhya Mukti is clearly understood. The 8th chapter stands alone, where the discussion is Krama Mukti. In the 9th chapter, Saguna Ishvara Upasana is explained by Lord Krishna as a preparation of the mind for Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam. It is Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam, not Upasana. And this higher nature of Ishvara, which is Prakriti Ishvara Jnanam, is the Nirguna Swarupa Jnanam. And Krishna calls it Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. Guhyam is a secret, and that secret is because you must tell it to people who can understand. However, if you tell it to everybody and inform them the same, only the prepared minds can understand it. It continues to remain a secret. And so if people are para prakriti ajnana, or if they have nirguna ishvara ajnana, they are in samsar. What are the features of this real God or real I? I am sarvagataha aham asmi. I am all pervading. I am avaktyaha. I am the adhisthana of this mithya jagat. I am asangaha. I am the srishti sthiti laya karanam, and I remain the witness. I am not the kartritva or the bhoktritva. 4th chapter itself, there has been a statement by the Lord saying, Sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. Or whatever you do karma, unless you go into jnana, there is not going to be the ultimate understanding. And also in the Kaivalya, the oft-quoted verse, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, clearly gives us an understanding that bhakti, though we all have it, should culminate in jnanam to have Advaita jnana. This sadhana of bhakti could be divided as 3 types, and that is the karma, upasana, or the Vedanta vichara rupa bhakti. The same bhakti could be based on bhavana, whatever bhavana we have while we have bhakti, and hence it could be the sakama bhakti or the nishkama bhakti. And the Lord says that in the first stage, we have Bhagwan as the means to attain our worldly ends. Then we go to the stage where Bhagwan is the goal, Mad Parayana, and then we never forget the goal when we are the Man Mana Bhava. Later, we convert our life into a form of worship, and that is the Madhyaji Bhava. But we remain to need the grace of the Lord, which is Mam Namaskuru. We must continue to have Namaskara to the Lord to get that grace. It ultimately means that in spite of having converted our life into worship, we must be humble without any spiritual arrogance. Ishvara Swarupam is the essence of all these, Madhyama Shatka. And we know that God is the Jagat Karanam and the nature is Paraprakriti, nature of consciousness, with Aparaprakriti, which is the nature of matter, together is Ishvara. It is uncreated and beginninglessness, and hence the Chetana, Achetana, or the Nirvikara, Savikara, or the Nirguna, Saguna, or the Satyam and Mithyam combination is the nature of this Ishvara Swarupam. Now, there are three stages of the Karanam based on the maturity of the mind of the student. The Nimitta Karana is Lord manifests as the world, and that is the Vishwarupa Ishvara. Then we move ahead to understand that the God apparently appears as the universe, which is Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. The universe is a false manifestation of Lord. And the final stage, which needs a tremendous intellectual and emotional maturity, is going to be the essential understanding of the verses of today. The Vishwarupa Bhakta will have no arrogance, no jealousy, and he will have Sarvatra Ishvara Vibhuti Darshanam. And Lord Krishna is really striving hard to transform our minds in this 10th chapter of Vibhuti Yoga. And so the Lord starts this chapter saying, "O Arjuna, once again may you listen to my supreme words, which I, wishing your welfare, shall tell you." Now we know that Krishna volunteers to explain the Ishvara Swarupam. This is not following a question asked by Arjuna. And why does he do it? Because Arjuna is extremely very dear and very close to Krishna. Such a wonderful Sangati. Arjuna and Krishna began as sakhas. When Arjuna had Sharanagati, he became a Shishya, and immediately his Sakha, Krishna, became Jagadguru. Krishnam Mande Jagadguru. And then he was so close, he was so dear, because he was a prepared mind. And so Krishna volunteers to explain the Ishvara Swarupa. Yamadharma Raja also congratulates Nachiketa at one time and says, "Had I only have so many disciples like Nachiketa, what a wonderful boon it is to be a teacher." So in these verses from 8 to 11, Vishwarupa Bhakta slowly gets converted to a Jivatma Paramatma Aikya Jnani. This Vishwarupa Bhakta is a very informed person. And he has a knowledge that Bhagwan is Nipidda Upadana Karanam. And this creation of the entire creation is a manifestation of the Lord. However, based on the Vedantic teachings, such a well-informed Vishwarupa Bhakta remains an Ajnani because he doesn't have the intellectual, emotional stability to claim that I am Ishvara. So this Vishwarupa Bhakta conversion to Aika Jnani Bhakta needs a push-pull train that we see on the mountains, where the front engine is one's own effort, like the 5th verse of chapter 6, Uddharet Atmanatmanam, and also the same understanding that this disciple, this student will have, tad vijnanartham sa gurumev abhigachet. He has to go to the guru to get this understanding and the teaching. And the engine at the back is the Ishvara Anugraha or the Ishvara Prasada. So the important aspect is conversion of a Jignasu Bhakta into a Jnani Bhakta. With this introduction to these special verses of the 10th chapter, may I now request Srimati Aruna to explain the 9th verse of the 10th chapter. Srimati Aruna, please.
Hari Om. We're looking at chapter 10, verse number 9. Machita matkata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. This very poetic shloka is describing a spiritually elevated person, and the gist of it is as follows. Next slide, please. Next slide. Bhagwan Krishna says, the mind of a spiritually elevated person is focused on me, the Lord, he means. The senses are fixed on me, and so is the prana, which here means the life energy, totally fixed on me. Such a person's whole life is dedicated to me, and he or she shares this knowledge of Brahman, of the Lord, with others, always talking about me, and is very, very happy to do so, very happy while talking about me. This is the conventional meaning of this verse. Now, this is not the description of some religious fanatic, but Bhagwan Krishna is talking about something much deeper and more profound. Swami Paramarthananda ji has outlined the concept of a Virat Bhakta or Vishwarupa Bhakta to explain in more detail this person that Bhagwan Krishna is talking about in this verse. Next slide, please. Let us look now at the process of becoming a Virat Bhakta or Vishwarupa Bhakta. The knowledge or jnana that comes from Shravanam is the jnana that Ishvara is the source of all creation and the universe. This is the jnana that he is the source of everything, and most importantly, the creation is not separate from Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara in a manifested form. Everything is Ishvara. Ishvara is therefore immanent and transcendent. This jnana redefines the attitude of a person and leads to a devotional or a bhakti to the Lord, wherein the entire life, the entire being of such a person is dedicated to the Lord completely. And that process is nityam, all the time, with the mind and all the sense organs, indriyani and prana, the life energy, everything is directed towards the Lord. This is the Virata Rupa Bhakta or the Vishwarupa Bhakta. Swami Paramarthananda says that the Virat Bhakta or the Vishwarupa Bhakta of the 10th chapter is the same as the Karma Yogi of the 3rd chapter. Real Karma Yoga is not possible without being a Virat or a Bhakta or a Vishwarupa Bhakta. This process leads to adhikaritvam, where one becomes qualified for further spiritual growth. Next slide, please. In this verse, the two words Machita and Madgata Prana, the first two words of the shloka, are the most important. They have very, very deep meaning over here. So Bhagwan Shankara in his Bhashyam says, Mai Chittam Yesham Te, that this is what Machita means, which means that this is an attitudinal change where Jagat Darshanam or Darshana of the universe is converted to Ishvara Darshanam. It is not looking at an idol or a picture of the Lord or something, but looking, it is the divinization of the entire creation and the universe. Remember, this is the chapter on Vibhuti Yoga, where the entire creation is seen as the Lord or Brahman itself. So this is the total looking perception, is looking at everything as being Jagat Darshanam, that is Ishvara himself. So this is Machitaha, the first word. Then the next word, next slide, please. The next important word is Madgata Prana. This means focusing completely on the Lord Brahman with Indriyani, all the sense organs, and also with the prana, the life energy, as I mentioned earlier. Everything is directed towards the Lord. Brahman is the only goal of life. Now, this can happen in two ways. One, where the senses are completely withdrawn, upasamhritam, inwards, the senses are drawn inwards, as happens during meditation. The mind is totally turned inward. So, Madgata Prana means being in a meditative state, occupied completely in Ishvara Upasana. Now, the other way is the opposite way, which can also happen. The Vishwarupa Bhakta can be engaged in worldly activity with all the senses and the mind going outward. Even so, the Vishwarupa Bhakta does not look at the world and creation as external or different from Ishvara, but looks at it as a manifestation of Brahman Ishvara. So that also becomes Ishvara Upasana. So in both instances, the very life is dedicated to the Lord, whether looking outward or inward. Brahman is the means, and Brahman is also the goal. The Vishwarupa Bhaktas also, Bodhayanta, they love to share this knowledge. This sharing of this knowledge is very important for them. No fighting about my God and your God. Kathayantascha mam, they are always conversing about God. And which God are they talking about? The Vishishtam God, the one endowed with glories. And they are doing this nityam, always. Bhagwan says, Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Because such a bhakta is completely absorbed in Ishvara Upasana, in talking about the Lord, in thinking about the Lord, such a person is completely enveloped in contentment. So the Vishwarupa Bhakta is very happy to be doing this. And being absorbed in Ishvara means being absorbed in contentment and happiness all the time. There is therefore no greater joy. Thank you.
Thank you for this very nice explanation. We will now move on to the next speaker, and I would not come in the way. May I now request Sri Ullas to explain the 10th verse.
Hari Om. Thank you, sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse 10.10. Tesham satatayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yena mamupayanti te. Here, Krishna is talking about what is that qualification of a seeker and what does a qualified seeker get in return from Krishna. So let's look at the qualification. Krishna says that a person who is so much devoted to me that he always remembers that fundamental relationship. We all have incidental relationship in the world with other human beings, but our fundamental relationship is with God. And that remembrance is very important. For example, so many waves are there in an ocean, and they all have, one wave might have another wave which it has a relationship with it. But the fundamental relationship is with the ocean only. The one wave can rise after another wave. They can simultaneously collapse or whatever is the event happening. But across all the times, every wave has a relationship with the ocean. Similarly, one human being can have some relationship with another human being in this life, in another life, but you never know that this is, you kind of know that it's not going to last forever and ever. But our relationship with God is always going to last. So these people who are steadfast, who are satata yuktanam, in this understanding of this relationship, to those, these are the qualified people. And we need to not act abnormally in the world. We need to continue to act how we do our transactions in the world. But with the God, we always need to have this love, this affection, that we have this fundamental relationship with the Lord. And again, this doesn't need to be a forced relationship that, okay, we have to do this in the morning, in the evening, we have to do this prayer. This doesn't need to be that. It has to be Preeti Purvakam. It has to come out of our heart, from our understanding. Love comes from understanding only, is what Swamiji says. Once we know the nature of God by studying the scriptures, automatically we'll start loving God. So the important thing is, how do we worship Him? Preeti Purvakam. Bhajadam Preeti Purvakam. Those people who have this steadfast knowledge, who has this that relationship with me, and they who Preeti Purvakam Bhajatam, who without any compulsion worship me, these are the qualified people. Let's take another example. Let's say there are so many students learning how to learn cricket, and there are some students who are satata yuktanam. They are so much like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, they will be there in the nets, and they are trying to grasp everything. They are the satata yuktanam, and they're not doing because of the force. They're not doing because the coach is going to make them run rounds or whatever, but they're doing it for the love of cricket. Now the coach is always going to be very happy with them. These become the qualified students. And then now what coach will give to them? Buddhi yogam dadamitam. You can see the coach will take painstakingly more and more time to teach them the nuances of the game, how to get to that level. That is what the coach promises them. So what does he give to them? We know that the highest thing that we need to attain moksha is jnana yoga. And Krishna here promises that to these people, I will give the highest yoga, jnana yoga, buddhi yoga. And what will happen by that is that you will come out of all the problems of the world. You will come out from the understanding of Anek Rup Ishvara to Arup Ishvara, from Virat Ishvara to Nirguna Brahma Ishvara. Once you have this understanding, ultimately, what is that coveted trophy that you will get? What is that final destination? You will attain me, is what his promises. Te yena mam upayanti te. They will attain me. So the take home message is that we have to be steadfast in that understanding, by understanding the nature of God, by studying the scriptures through Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Once we do that, automatically we will have love for the God. We will do Preeti Purvakam Bhajatam. Once you have that love, you will automatically, that worship will come, and through understanding, and through that he will give us Buddhi Yogam. He will jump all the hoops for us. He said that you need Guru, I'll get it for you. You need scriptures, you need time, everything I will do. You just have to be prepared for that. And once you have the Buddhi Yoga, the Jnana Yoga, you will get moksha, you will attain me. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Sri Ullas, for a very good and very nice explanation of this Buddhi Yogam Dadami. That's a very important phrase. What is Buddhi and what is Yogam? Thank you very much for bringing it about.
हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः तेषाम् एवाकं पार्थम् अहमज्ञानजं तमः नाशयामात्मभावस्तः ज्ञानदीपेन भास्वता. Let us now unlock the meaning in this shloka. For a moment, let us imagine that we are the pen which is held by Vyasacharya as he is composing this shloka. So the first step is to identify the verb in the shloka, which is nashayami. I shall destroy. And then you ask the question who to this verb nashayami. Then you figure the word aham. So in the most basic form, this shloka goes as aham nashayami. Lord Krishna is saying, I shall destroy. Let us see how by asking different question words, we can build the parts of speech of the shloka. In the second line, we can see the adjective atma bhavastha qualifying the subject aham. Thus, aham atma bhavastha nashayami. Lord Krishna is saying that he who resides in everyone, atma bhavastha, the part atma refers as a reflexive pronoun. So he is saying that he resides inside everybody, in the intellect of everybody. So aham atma bhavastha nashayami. Then you ask the question word what to the verb nashayami, and you will arrive at the object in this sentence, which is aham atma bhavastha tamaha nashayami. This word tamah, the object in the sentence, is further qualified with the adjective ajnanam. Tamaha, which is of the form of ajnanam. So as we build the shloka this far, it reads thus: Atma bhavasta aham ajnanajam tamaha nashayami. The verb is nashayami. Lord Krishna is saying he shall destroy. Then you ask the question word, with what or by what does he destroy? Then the shloka becomes Atma bhavasta aham jnana deepena ajnanajam tamaha nashayami. We can see here that jnana deepena is qualified with the adjective bhasvata. So jnana deepa, which is brilliantly lit up, bhasvata jnana deepena, Lord Krishna is going to destroy the ajnanajam tamaha. To complete this shloka, we further ask these question words: why does he destroy, and for whom does he destroy? Now the shloka is complete thus: Atma bhavasta aham tesam evanukampartham jnana deepena bhasvata nashayami ajnanajam tamaha. I who resides in the intellect shall destroy the darkness born out of ignorance by the brilliant light of knowledge out of compassion for them. So that was the grammar part of the shloka. Now, coming to the context for this verse, we have seen that this chapter is a complete chapter in the sense it displays the entire journey of the Gita. The initial 3 verses were introductory in nature, where Lord Krishna glorifies the Brahma Vidya, which was already covered earlier. However, for the sake of Arjuna, he wishes to revisit it because Arjuna is dear to him, and Hita Kamaya, for the benefit of Arjuna and for all of us, he wishes to revisit it. The next topic in this chapter is of the form of a description of Vishwarupa Ishvara. This we see in the shlokas numbering 4, 5, and 6. Vishwarupa Ishvara in these shlokas is categorized into that part of Vishwarupa which exists within me in the form of thoughts in my mind. In the 4th and the 5th shlokas, 18 such thoughts which form bricks of the inner world are covered. And in the next shloka, the external world is covered, interestingly, in this chapter as being comprised of beings, although non-living things also form the Vishwarupa Ishvara. And why is Lord Krishna bringing in Vishwarupa Ishvara at this juncture? The next 4 shlokas from the 7th to the 11th, including the present shloka, give the reason that this Vishwarupa Ishvara is a stepping stone, a boat that will lead us from the Saguna Ishtadevata Ekarupa Ishvara to the Arupa Ishvara. How does Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakti form a stepping stone to reach Arupa Ishvara? We can see these profound words, like in the 7th shloka. If one follows Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakti, Lord Krishna promises, so vikampena yogena yujyate, he shall bless such seeker with Brahma Vidya or Arupa Ishvara Jnanam. We see further in the 10th shloka, for those Vishwarupa or Virat Ishvara Bhaktas Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayanti Te. Again, Lord Krishna's promise that if one is a Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta, he shall provide to them Brahma Vidya. Let us now look at the important words in this shloka. Nashayami, Lord Krishna shall destroy, as we have seen earlier, Tamaha and Ajnanajam Tamaha. The primary problem is one of ignorance of our true selves as Atman or Brahman. This is Ajnanam. And non-appreciation of this truth results in misappreciation of truth, which is called as Adhyasa. Not knowing our true nature of Atma, which is Satyam, we come to believe the body-mind complex, which is Mithya, as our true nature. So, such Ajnanajam Tamaha or Ajnanam and Adhyasa, Lord Krishna says he shall destroy. Atma Bhavastha. This word in this shloka is a proof that Lord Krishna exists in all of us. The highest truth in Advaitam is one of a singular reality of Brahman. Brahman, who is everywhere and at all times, is there right now at this place, wherever each one of us are there. So this Nirguna Swarupa Ishvara is what is the reference Lord Krishna is making here as Atma Bhavastha. So he is there within us and he shall destroy Ajnanam and Adhyasa. Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. Lord Krishna is saying that the reflected consciousness, which is brilliant and there within each one of us, is going to destroy the Ajnanam. Tesam evanu kampartham. Tesam is the reference to the several earlier shlokas which made a reference to Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakti. These bhaktas are also Jijnasu bhaktas. So Tesam is a reference to them. And in this shloka, Lord Krishna is telling that for the Jijnasu bhaktas who have Nishkama Bhakti, out of compassion, Evanu Kampartham, he who is already there in the hearts, the minds of each of those Jijnasu bhaktas, he shall destroy the ignorance and Ajnanam and Adhyasa. This is in a figurative sense. It means that Lord Krishna will provide atmosphere which is conducive for Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam. He shall provide for a suitable guru. And Pujya Swami Paramatmananda ji says that it's a promise by Krishna that if none of that happens, he himself shall come and teach Brahma Vidya. Some important aspects of this shloka from the Bhashyam are the comparison of Jnana and Deepa done by two great acharyas. Let us now see in the subsequent slides these comparisons. First by Acharya Madhusudana Saraswati. He makes few comparisons in this manner. So the Deepa removes darkness and Jnana removes ignorance. The Deepa is self-revealing. There is no need for a second lamp for us to see it. Same is the case with Jnanam, it is self-revealing. Although the Deepa requires many things like the wick, oil, matchbox, and so on, to remove the darkness, the Deepa itself is sufficient. It does not require any other factor. So is the case with Jnanam. For Jnanam to arise, many things are required, like Chitta Shuddhi, Shastra Pramana, Guru. However, once Jnanam is there, it does not depend on any other factor to remove ignorance. We now go to the next slide where more elaborate comparison between Jnana and Deepa was done by Adi Shankaracharya. So the Deepa requires a holder or a vessel. For Jnanam, this holder is the mind. Deepa requires oil. so too jnana, in the form of oil, it requires the grace of the god. Deepa requires the wick. This wick can be compared to the intelligence which is required for jnanam. Deepa requires or has the flame. This flame is comparable to akhandakara vritti, which is one thought of oneness in everything. Deepa has brilliance. This can be compared to reflected consciousness in each of us where jnanam arises. The Deepa requires a protected enclosure. So too the jnanam in the form of sama and dhamma. There are two winds which can affect the Deepa. The favorable wind, which in the case of jnanam is jijnasu bhakti. The unfavorable wind, which can take off the Deepa, which in the case of jnanam is in the form of raga and dvesha. The wick needs to be refined for the Deepa to light. This refined wick can be compared to the Daivi Sampath each one of us has to nurture. Finally, there is a process of lightening of the lamp, which in the case of Jnanam is of the form of Vichara. Thank you.
May I now request Dr. Srinivas Moody to explain the 12th verse of the 10th chapter.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So the 12th verse is like this. Param Brahma Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyamadhidevam Majam Vibhum. Divyamadhidevam Majam Vibhum. So let us see the meaning of the first line. Param Brahma. So the pronunciation also is Param Brahma. Even in this verse, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat, Param Brahma. It's not Param Brahma, it's Param Brahma. Anyway, the pronunciation doesn't matter. What's the bhavam is what is more important than the pronunciation. So Param meaning means supreme or the ultimate. Brahma meaning here is the, it's not the Upasana Brahma or it is the Jnaya Brahma. So the Arjuna is calling Krishna as Param Brahma. So Arjuna has realized that the one who is very near to him, who is his relative, who is his friend, who helps him in his troubles, he is not only just that, but he is also the ultimate Lord. So that realization has come to Krishna here. That's the point which we have to realize. Because even in Krishna's time, when Lord Krishna was in his physical body and alive, then also many people did not believe that he is the ultimate Lord. Many thought he was just doing some magics. So even this Divya, the ultimate, the darshan to which he gave to Arjuna, he gave it total 3 times in Mahabharata. One is to his mother Yashoda, second is to in the Kaurava Sabha, and third is in the war. 3 times he made darshan. That's how we say that Lord Krishna is not Pandava Pakshapati. So he has given his darshan to Kauravas also. Otherwise, people can blame that you are his friend and relative, so you have given darshan to your friends. But how will people like us know? So even though he gave darshan in the Kaurava Sabha, many did not believe. Even Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra also did not believe. That's why it is called a blind darbar. Blind darbar. So that name came from that since then. Andha darbar or blind darbar. So the next word is Parandhama. That is supreme. Dhama is sthanam. Another name for dhama is sthanam or abode. That means a place where he stays. Actually, we know that the ultimate Lord does not have any one place. He is there everywhere. But still, that's the place where we have to reach. That's why it is the ultimate place. Once we reach there, there is nowhere to go or come. So that's it. Next word is Paramam Pavitram. That is the ultimate pure. The Lord is ultimate pure as well as purifier. Both meanings come here. He is pure as well as if we do his Namasmaranam, we also get purified. So it gives both the meanings. Bhavan. Bhavan means you, Neenu, Neevu. In both the meanings. In Bhavan, in Sanskrit there is no singular and plural. It's Bhavan. Or also meaning as Tvam or you. So here first line is telling you are Param Brahma, Parandhama, you are Paramam Pavitram. So this is how Arjuna is addressing Lord Krishna. Next line, sir. Next, Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. So here again, Purusham means Purnatvat Purusham. That means one who is complete, or also one who is indwelling in all beings. That's the meaning, or Purushottamam or divine Purusha. So these are all the words for Purusham. Shashvatam is eternal. Divyam means Prakasha Swarupaha. Shankara Bhashya gives this Prakasha Swarupaha, or divine. Adidevam means he was the first of all gods, or god of all gods, or Moola Daivam. Ajam means unborn. So who was never born. So there is no death for him. So for us, this word Ajam, now that we are born, our aim is not Janma Rahityam. Our aim should be Mrutyu Rahityam. We should not plan for Ajam, because we are already born. So we are going to die. So our aim is, this is what Mahamrutyunjaya mantra also means. Now that we are born, we should not die. Not die means not physically, not the body will die. So what am I? I should not die. The ultimate I, who I am, that should not die. If we get that realization, then we get Mrityu Rahityam. So that should be the aim of a sadhak. Then once there is no death, then there will be no birth again. Then is Janma Rahityam. So Vibhum means omnipresent, one who is present in all the beings, living and non-living, sentient and insentient. So here in this verse, Arjuna has realized that Lord Krishna is the ultimate Lord. So this is the point to be noted here. Says today suddenly, if Lord Krishna comes to us, if we see him, we may not, even if somebody tells us that he is the ultimate Lord, or even now there are gurus who are avatars of Parama Gurus, who are nothing but avatar of the Lord Krishna. If somebody says, even if they say, many people do not believe it. So we will say, who knows what he is doing, and people still have doubts. People are not ready to accept. So this is the quality of Arjuna, which has made him eligible to receive the knowledge from Sri Krishna. So this is the point which we have to learn, that if we meet a guru, our thought process, and we should accept that he is the ultimate Lord, even if he is not so. So then the question comes, if he is really Krishna, fine. What if it is not so? So that doesn't matter. What matters is how much the seeker believed in the teacher. That's the point. Even whether the teacher is really the ultimate Lord or not, that doesn't matter. So most of the times we have our gurus who are nothing but avatars. If we believe, we are the beneficiaries. That's the point. If we believe in the Lord, the knowledge flows easily. So this point of Arjuna has made him eligible for Jnana Yoga. And this is the point which we as sadhaks should acquire. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas Nuti, for a crisp explanation of the very special meaning of the words of this verse. May I now request Dr. Sarika Ramachandran to explain the 13th verse of the same chapter. Dr. Sarika, please.
Thank you, sir. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. So next slide. Ahustvam rishayah sarve devarshi naradasthatha asito devalo vyasaha swayam chaiva bravishi me. All the rishis have thus declared you, as also the Devarshi Narada, so also Asita, Devala and Vyasa, and now the same you yourself say to me. Gita Bhashyam says, Ahu kathayanti tvam risheh vasishthadah sarve devarshi naradah tatha asitah devalo api evam eva aha vyasah cha swayam cha eva pravishim. Swamiji says Arjuna wishes to ask something of Krishna, something very important and valuable. So he feels the need to shower Krishna with praises, equating him to Nirguna Brahma. But if he were to stop at the praises, it would mean that he has understood everything already and the teaching may stop. So he qualifies the previous verse with this one, wherein he says, this is what the revered and the learned say. He enumerates the rishis. Here, Shankaracharya calls them Vasishthadeya Rishi. Next click, sir. So the allusion is to the Saptarishis. Then one more click, sir. We have the Narada Muni being mentioned separately, and then the rishis of those times, the Maharshis, the Acharyas of those times, Asita, Devala, and Vyasacharya are being mentioned. Asita and Devala are a father-son duo who are the disciples of Vyasacharya. Vyasacharya being the compiler of Gita and Mahabharata, and also the one who has given us the Brahma Sutras, is considered the foremost of all gurus. And that's why we mention him specially here. Arjuna says that he knows the words, but he wants to internalize and absorb them. He wants to understand it and become a Vijnani. Next click, sir. We are in the Madhyama Shatkam of Gita, which teaches us the reality of God. Why do we need to know the reality of God if it is the same as the reality of self? Would a self-inquiry then not be enough to achieve moksha? So both our Guru Shishya Parampara and also our scriptures, they attest and say to tell us this fact that it is absolutely enough to achieve moksha. Jnana Marga is sufficient. But it is not so for all of us. It's only so for the Uttama Adhikaris who are sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. For the rest of us, Madhyama Adhikaris, understanding the nature of God and establishing a relationship with Him, a relationship of love, that helps us to reach our destination more easily. Next click, sir. It's like moving from a bullock cart to a bullet train in the journey to our destination. An allegory for the beauty, sublimity, and ease of bhakti was once explained by Swami Sarvapriyanandaji. Next click, sir. Following Jnana Marga alone is like cleaning up a dirty house from top to bottom and furnishing it well to suit the entry of a king inside. Next click, sir. The dirty house is our polluted mind and the king, of course, is the Lord. But cleaning up our insides, which has accumulated dirt from lifetimes of practice of self-indulgence, is no mean task. Next click, sir. Bhakti Yoga, on the other hand, is like employing a humble housemaid. One more click, sir. Who comes into our home, cleans the house up, and stays there for a fee. The housemaid also is God, and the fee is intense and one-pointed love and devotion. God cleanses our inside and makes it suitable for his own living. Bhakti, however, is also not easy. How do you love somebody you do not even know, you have never known about? Next click, sir. Whom you wonder if it is actually real or is a matter of imagination. Most of us do not know a single person who can attest and tell with complete conviction that they have seen Lord in all his glory. Then how can a thinking, rational being give his life and love to a quest he's not completely sure of? When we decide to learn any subject initially, we do not know the reality of it, especially if the subject is complex. Next slide, sir. Say rocket science or theory of relativity. Most of our study is abstraction to begin with, and our learning depends on the faith we have in the genuine knowledge of the masters. Next click, sir. In the case of bhakti also, our progress is entirely based on our faith in the masters, who themselves are no abstraction. Our own gurus are the rishis of our times who tell us about the reality of Lord. From our spiritual texts, written records of the events from past, and Guru Shishya Parampara, we learn of the great people from the past who attest to the truth of God. Next click, sir. Arjuna has seen Krishna as his cousin. He's seen him as a friend, a confidant, as a well-wisher and an advisor. And now he's accepted him as his own guru. But he has heard people calling Krishna God incarnate. Personally, however, he has not had an experience to back this claim. So his belief in rishis, Asita, Devala, Vyasacharya, in his elders like Bhishmacharya, who believe in Krishna's lordhood, and also Krishna himself, whom he knows very well as not one to blow his own trumpet or seek praise, adoration, or glory, is telling him most simply as a matter of fact that he is the one undivided principle behind the whole universe and beyond. Next click, sir. Arjuna can't help but believe him, but intellectual conviction or jnana is not enough for him. He wants to make it an obvious reality for himself. So he requests Krishna himself to reveal it to him. Only God can reveal himself to us. Next click, sir. If God decides to keep his own reality from us, there is no way we can find him by ourselves. But he is also very easy to please, like a child. One more click, sir. Very easy to win over by equally childlike purity of devoted love. When Krishna addresses Arjuna as Anusuya, Anagha, etc., he lets us know what are the qualities which help in winning him over. To know God as one's own self, as a Jnani Bhakta would, one has to first know him as Ekarupa, as a form personal deity. Next click, sir. One may have finished this stage in previous Janmas itself and may progress to the stages ahead instinctively. At the next step, the devotee starts appreciating the Ekarupa Lord's glory in all magnificent things of the universe. One more click, sir. This is Vibhuti Yoga, which is being explained in this chapter. I have given the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who went into ecstatic union immersed in the glory of Krishna on seeing the blue ocean, which reminded him of the blue hue of Krishna. Next click, sir. Next step would be to recognize him in everything one experiences. This is Vishwarupa or Anekarupa Bhakti. This will be dealt with in the next chapter. Next click, sir. Lastly, the devotee realizes that it's not what he experiences, but the one consciousness within him which makes all the experiences possible. That itself is his beloved. He no longer seeks God because the fact that he is one with God, not just as a result of his sadhanas, but naturally and choicelessly becomes clear to him. That whatever he sees outside of himself is a reflection of his beloved and not non-different from himself becomes clear to him. He now is a Jnani Bhakta, himself non-different from his Lord or from the universe. Bhakta, Bhagavata, Bhagwan all turn into one reality within the subject himself. And that becomes the culmination of all yugas. Thank you, Hari Om.
Thank you very much for a very good explanation with very simple examples. And it's quite a profound understanding of how Arjuna would understand, but still wanted to continue with knowing more teachings from Lord Krishna. I would like to take a little more time for a wrap up with the Shankara Bhashya as the background. And for the 9th verse, Shankar Bhashya, he starts with Kincha. And this word says that the topic of Vishwarupa Bhakta is continuing right from the 3rd chapter as Karma Yoga to Vishwarupa Bhakta in the 10th chapter, trying to understand the lifestyle of this Bhakta. Adi Shankaracharya says, Matchitta is mind being in the Lord, and this attitudinal change is converted into Ishvara Darshana. So the Jagat Darshana becomes the Ishvara Darshana. He also mentions that Madgataha Pranaha, this Pranaha means sense organs and life itself. So the entire life being dedicated to the Lord, being constantly engaged in Ishvara Upasana, is Madgataha Pranaha. And when two good friends meet, we realize that at one point of time, it is not the means, but the means and end, both are Bhagwan. And if these two friends are Vishwarupa Bhaktas, they do nothing but Parasparam Anyonyam Kathayantaha. They are talking only about Vibhutis. And they also explain to each other and to others. They teach to others also. Bodhayantaha Avagatamantyaha. And so this 10th and the 11th verse probably is the most important two shlokas of the entire Bhagavad Gita, is what our Guru Swami Paramarthanandaji very clearly explains in his Bhashyas. In the 10th verse, Dadami Buddhi Yogam, very well explained earlier, is to be understood a little more. Tesham satata yuktanam nitya abhiyuktanam. Vairagya becomes important towards prayas, and there has to be a keen interest only in shreyas. If this viveka is there, then we have the kshamadi shatka sampatti, which means we are sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. So Shankaracharya also uses the word in the Bhashya Ishana, and this comes from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Putraishashanascha, Vittaishashanascha, Lokesanascha. And this understanding of this is that we have to have Sarva Ishananam Bhajatam. We must do away with all those the putra, the vitta, the wealth, the loka, the samsara, and we must have a complete vairagya to all that. But at the same time, in spite of all this Vedanta Vichara, we must have the Panch Mahayagnyas to be continued. That was the understanding of Shankaracharya, probably suitable at that time, but it is also equally important to understand in today's world. So the Sankalpa would be Mamopata Samasta Durtekshwaram Shri Parameshwara Prithirtham Dharma Artha Kama Moksha. Phala Siddhyartham should be changed to Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham. And this has to be Priti Purvaka, full of love and bhakti as the destination. We are Ananya Bhaktas, we are Avyabhicharini Bhaktyas. Only then Lord says, I shall bless them dadami. And the Buddhi Yogam here is, Buddhi is Samyak Darshanam. And what is the Samyak Darshanam? The right knowledge is Saha Aham. I am who we should very clearly know. Vedanta is so clear that the teaching is given initially as an Adhyaropa, and then there is an Apavada to disprove it. And that is the deliberately wrong knowledge being given initially as an Adhyaropa. This is the method of teaching of Vedanta. And this is how we have been seeing in these verses in the Shankara Bhashya. Probably we should now move a little more into the common understanding of this simple verse that we recite in our everyday Panchayatana Puja. Devo Devalaya Prokta, Divo Deva Sanatana, Tvajed Ajnana Nirmalayam Soham Bhavet Prapujayet. My body is the temple, and I am clear by now in the 10th chapter that this Jivatma alone is the Paramatma. And this can happen only if I remove those old flowers of Ajnanam. With that bhava, soham bhavet, only then I should do the Panchayatana Puja. So Lord says that he is the Atma, Aham Atma Gudha Kesha, which comes in the 20th verse, and Bhagavan himself says that he attains Atmatvena, he attains that Atma. Avikampa Yogaha is equal to Buddhi Yogaha is equal to Jnana Yogaha. This right understanding is God is Nirguna Brahma, not the various lords that we talk about, and he is not different from me. This Ishvara is equal to myself. This is Samyak Darshana. This is Paraprakriti. He is Buddhi. He is Yoga. This is Jnana Prapti, and that's why it is Ishvara Prapti. And so he says, Atma Bhutam Atmatvena Upayanti. Attain me in me without movement. There is no movement. There is no attaining going anywhere else. But this is a understanding of this knowledge. And so these conditions are important for the Vishwarupa Bhakta to become to move on from a Jignasu Bhakta to a Jnani Bhakta. In the Anvaya, Te Mam Upayanti is Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam. And so this situation is now, Arjuna is almost understood it, but he says, hey Krishna, for what purpose or benefit are you blessing your bhaktas with this Buddhi Yoga? And please tell me what are the obstacles to this? Te continues the answer of Lord Krishna, who says, it is Anukampartham. It is my compassion only. And then, of course, the 11th verse with Jnana Deepena is so beautiful to understand. And the obstacle is ignorance, tamaha. Krishna compares this jnanam to the lamp, and the lamp of knowledge is the only way to remove the darkness of ignorance. If we have to delve a little into the Bhashya, Madhusudana Saraswati ji has given three comparisons. Svavishaya avarna nivartakam is knowledge removes the darkness of ignorance, and so the lamp also removes the darkness which covers the objects. Then there is a svajatiya apara anapekshatvam, and this is the lamp illumines every other thing, but the lamp doesn't itself need a second lamp to reveal. Now, this lamp depends upon so many factors for its existence. You need a lamp, you need a wick, you need oil, and so many things. But to remove the darkness, that flame alone is enough, and it does not depend on any other factor. In the similar way, for knowledge to arise, there is a need for chitta shuddhi, chitta ekagrata, shastra pramana, guru. But for knowledge to remove ignorance, there is no need for any other factor. Beautiful verse. Jnana Deepena Viveka Prayatyaya Rupena. Vishwarupa Jignasu Bhakta is now getting transformed. Atma Bhavastaha is Atmanaha Bhava Atma Bhavaha. Now, Atmanaha here means in your own mind, and Bhava is your Antakarana. So, Anandagiri says, Ashaya means Aham Brahmasmi iti vritti. Going a little bit to the Tattva Bodha, which our teacher Tima Pegada taught us a long time ago, and adding it here. Antakaranashaya is Antakarana vritti. This vritti, this thought of Akhandakara vritti, it comes in our mind when we listen to this Mahavakya. And so this Vishwarupa Bhakta, with this listening, with this Shravanam, he now suddenly wants to and gets this opportunity to study the scriptures and has a desire to understand it. And this Atma Bhava, this Akhandakara Vritti has to remain located in this mind. And this Vritti is the reflecting medium. The mind is also the reflecting medium. Bhagwan is the Bimba Chaitanya or the original consciousness. So when this Bimba Chaitanya gets reflected onto this vritti, this thought of Akhandakara, it is the Pratibimba Chaitanya. And this is the vritti vyapti and the phala vyapti. Bimba Chaitanya, this Bhagwan gets reflected on this Akhandakara vritti, and that Pratibimba Chaitanya is the meaning of Atma Bhavastaha. And this vritti is associated with the reflected consciousness. We know this vritti itself is jada. As soon as it is associated with the RC, it becomes the lamp of knowledge, and that is jnanam. This is the understanding of jnana deepena, and this knowledge, which is a mixture of that thought and the RC, destroys ignorance. I would not read this Anvaya, but Jnana Deepa, the Anvaya of the 11th verse, is very remarkable. To compare this in a very small tabular column, the mind is like the oil holder, the Ishvara Prasada is the oil, the intelligence is the wick. The Akhandakara Vritti we discuss now is the flame. The reflected consciousness itself has got a brilliance, and that is the Deepa Prabha. The Kshama Dama is the protection or enclosure to keep this moving on. Jignasu is the favorable wind. All the raga dvesha which are superimposed on this mind becomes the unfavorable wind, and they have to be nurtured and tended and continuously nurtured with chitta ekagrata. And we should persistently aim like we have the bow and arrow, and to maintain it is the most important. So Lord Krishna summarizes it in these verses. Vishwarupa Darshanam in a Vishwarupa Bhakti is a Vishwarupa Jignasu Bhakta. he converts himself from the Aneka Rupa Bhakti to Arupa Bhakti, which is moving from Dvaita Bhakti to Advaita Bhakti. It is only then that the Lord gives us Advaita Jnanam. The phala of this Vishwarupa Bhakti is Atma Jnanam and Samsara Nivritti. Swami Paramarthanandaji says that these first 11 shlokas of the 10th chapter literally extracts the meaning of the 700 verses of the Gita shlokas. Arjuna now is so moved and he now forgets the war and wants to practice Vishwarupa Upasana as a stepping stone for Advaita Jnanam. And this Vishwarupa Dhyanam is actually meant for Nirguna Jnanam. Not Arjuna is not completely prepared, so he wants an alambanam for this Vishwarupa Dhyanam. And so the Lord gives him Ishwara Vibhuti. And this Ishwara Vibhuti, as we know, has got the Saguna, Nirguna, Sa Upadika, Nirupadika, Sa Vishesha, Nirvishesha, Apara, Para Prakriti. And so Arjuna says, Hey Krishna, you are the ultimate source of your own Saguna, Nirguna, Swarupa. You are the original Acharya. Why should I go anywhere else to any other Rishi for help? This will take us later to the 20th verse, which is the Mahavakya, where the Chidrupa Vibhuti and the Sadrupa Vibhuti is so clearly understood in this verse of Ahamatma Guda Kesha. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi Shankar. Thank you to all the speakers of the day for your beautiful presentation on these Bhakti shlokas. Our pranams to our gurus and Guru Parampara. Thank you to all the listeners. Our next session is on Mandukya Karikas on the 15th of November, session 26. This will be one of the 3 sessions we will be doing on the 4th chapter of Gaudapada Acharya's Mandukya Karikas. Do come. Let us conclude with the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Harihi Om